Now, if you've watched any television today at all, you'll undoubtedly have seen my next guest, who's not just an elegant writer, but a pretty elegant-looking fellow, and with a good face for television. That's why we've had to wait to get him on tonight, because he's been on television. He's the chief political commentator at The Independent on Sunday, and the biographer, sympathetic, I think he'd agree, of Mr. Tony Blair. John Rentoul, welcome to the show.
Hello there.
Thanks for joining us. Now, were you as proud as Punch today with your boy?
I thought he performed a class act as usual. I thought it was a very good reminder of the qualities of leadership that we're missing in this country since 2007. And I thought it was a very strong restatement of a very familiar case.
Did you see any differences, any nuance in either approach or content between today and the last time he was up?
Well, no, apart from the obvious, he dealt with the feeling last time that he hadn't expressed his regret for the casualties adequately, and I think he returned to that issue and explained why he hadn't perhaps expressed himself very well the first time.
What about the apparent discrepancy between the testimony of the former Attorney General, Lord Goldsmith, and Mr. Blair's original testimony? Do you think he cleared that up?
I don't think there was any discrepancy or inconsistency to be cleared up. I mean, the point about having Tony Blair back before the committee was to do him the courtesy of asking him questions about material which has come to light since his evidence a year ago. Obviously, he's going to be a main feature of the report that the committee puts together, and they want to put their final conclusions to him before they sign off on the report.
But as I understood it, Mr. Blair acknowledged that it would have been better if the Attorney General had been more in the loop.
That's not an inconsistency or a contradiction. That is just looking back and wondering how things could have been done slightly better. I don't think...
Well, it is an inconsistency if you said on the first occasion that the Attorney General was in the loop.
I don't think he said that.
I can assure you that he did. He rebutted the charge that he had kept the Attorney General out of the loop when he appeared last time, and this time he apologised. So you're being more royal than the king.
I think you're doing your familiar thing of comparing slightly different statements. Obviously, what he was saying the first time round was that the Attorney General was consulted properly throughout, as he was. What he was saying this time was explaining why he wasn't actually consulted in detail through the negotiation of Resolution 1441 in New York. Which, look, with the benefit of hindsight, Tony Blair now says that perhaps, it might have helped if he had been, but I personally don't think it would have made any difference.
Now, so profound has been your alienation from what has happened in the British political system with the departure of Mr. Blair that you've actually changed allegiance. You were a Labour supporter and now are no longer a Labour supporter.
Oh, I'm still a Labour supporter. And
didn't you call for a vote for the Liberals at the general election?
I voted for your successor in the local constituency, who's Rifan Ali, the very very fine Labour MP for the area.
But didn't you, John? You supported the Liberal Democrats, who are now in coalition with the Tories.
I certainly did not. What I wrote at the time of the election was that I thought David Cameron would be a better Prime Minister than Gordon Brown, and I hold to that opinion. But I don't think that that actually disqualifies me from being a Labour supporter.
What, that the Tories would be better in government than Gordon Brown?
That David Cameron would be a better Prime Minister than Gordon Brown.
You don't think that disqualifies you as a Labour supporter?
No.
You must have a very Catholic view of inclusiveness.
I'm not a party member. I'm not. I'm not bound by party allegiance.
You have become ever more strident, though, in your criticism of the new Labour leader. So I just wanted, now that I've got you on the air, to take your view of the events of the last 24 hours, which we're also discussing tonight. Ed Balls, Shadow Chancellor, have we set up another dichotomy like the Blair-Brown one?
Yes, I think somebody has anyway. I don't know about we, but certainly the reason Ed Miliband didn't appoint Ed Balls in the first place is because he felt that Ed Balls would be manoeuvring for his job. Now, that may be unfair, but I mean certainly regarding Ed Balls' conduct through the Blair years, it's a reasonable suspicion that I think one would be allowed to have. So Ed Miliband is now forced to have as Shadow Chancellor someone he didn't want, even though there are actually not much by way of ideological division between them.
Lastly, on ideological positions, if Mr. Blair is the prince over the water for you, he doesn't have many friends left in the top ranks of the Labour Party. Mr. Mandelson gone, now Alan Johnson gone. Not many Blairites left.
Well, not in the shadow cabinet. I mean, I mean that's the other effect of Alan Johnson coming out. The place has been taken over by the Brownites. That's fine. Let them work out for themselves that they will have to return to new Labour ways in order to win an election. But I mean, there are more Blairites around, and there are more people in this country, I think, who regard Tony Blair as having been a successful Prime Minister. And there are actually, you wouldn't get this impression from our media, but there are actually a lot of people who think that he took the right decision in the Iraq War.
Well, that was going to be my last question to you, really, that don't you ever feel sometimes like the mother at the Aldershot parade ground who says that at the passing out parade everybody was out of step except her Johnny? I mean, you say that a lot of people look back fondly at Mr. Blair. I never come across such people.
You move in slightly strange circles, Mr. Galloway. I mean, I think that's...
well,
you've got to look at
you say that, John, but I appear in front of a very large radio audience for 3 hours every Friday night, and I can assure you I don't get, not for the want of asking, I don't get a lot of people expressing the views you're expressing.
Well, that's not a scientific sample.
No, but it's not quite a strange circle either.
And the British... and you've got to remember that the London-based liberal media are completely poisonous and unanimous in their opinion against both the Iraq War and Tony Blair, which doesn't represent the
views of the people.
It's a massive
left-wing conspiracy in the British media.
No, it's a left-wing and right. It's a conspiracy between the left and right. The Daily Mail is as poisonous as my own. Well, my own newspaper isn't poisonous. The Guardian might be slightly.
Probably best not to describe your own newspaper as poisonous.
No,
who knows? The Russians might be listening, John.
My own newspaper has an honest disagreement with the Iraq War. But the people of this country, if you look at opinion poll evidence, take a sane and balanced view of Tony Blair, which is that, all in all, judging the rough with the smooth, he was a pretty good Prime Minister.
You are working for a former KGB officer at the Independent. Have there been any changes? Any phone hacking going on? Any bugging? Any honey traps?
Both Mr. Lebedev, Senior and Junior, are lovely people. I've met them both. They're charming, and they have proved to be extremely good owners of the paper, and I'm very pleased for them.
John, thanks very much for coming on. John Rentoul, Chief Political Commentator, and as you've heard, still a cheerleader for the departed Prime Minister Tony Blair. Tell me what you think. 08717 223344. He thinks I move in strange circles. I think he means you, ladies and gentlemen.